remain without a response. We are coordinating internationally in the United Nations Security Council. We and other states have made it clear last night that Russia has no backing in the world for acting the way it did. And the Ukrainian president, Mr. Zelensky, deserves our full respect for staying calm, for not letting himself be provoked by Russia. This is what the Russian president waits for in order to have a pretext to invade the whole of Ukraine. Within the European Union, we have discussed a first set of sanctions, and we will adopt this together today. I already said this. The situation today looks fundamentally different, and that means that with regard to the latest developments, we need to reassess the situation also with regard to Nord Stream 2. I have asked the Federal Ministry of Economics to withdraw the report on the security of supply with the Federal Networks Agency. It sounds a bit technocratic, but this is the first necessary step to make sure that this pipeline cannot be certified at this point in time. And without this certification, Nord Stream 2 cannot operate. The division at the Federal Ministry of Economics responsible for that matter will reassess the supply security of our country and will reassess the situation that has evolved over the last few days. And it is important to launch new sanctions now in order to prevent an escalation and a disaster. All our diplomatic efforts are undertaken. These are difficult hours for Europe. And almost 80 years after the end of the Second World War, we might see a new war in Eastern Europe. It is our task to avert such a disaster, and I call upon Russia once more to contribute their share. Thank you.
It's a great pleasure to be here in Berlin today and to receive such a warm welcome from Chancellor Scholz, and to say, as you have said, Ireland and Germany are old and very close friends, and relations between us are growing stronger all the time. We look forward to deepening even further the economic and trade links between our two countries. We also work closely together in the European Union, where we are of like mind on so many of the vital challenges that we collectively face. Chancellor and I share the ambition to see this cooperation increase in both our national interests, but also our common European interests. I look forward to discussing developments relating to Ukraine. The announcement by President Putin yesterday that Russia was recognizing the separatist region of Ukraine crosses the line. It is a flagrant violation of international law and a breach of Ukraine's sovereignty. It breaches the fundamental principles of the UN Charter, under which all members must refrain from the threat or use of force against the territorial integrity or political independence of any state. As I said, together with our European Union partners, Ireland stands in solidarity with Ukraine. Chancellor and I will discuss the European Union response, which will be robust. I again call on Russia to de-escalate and to withdraw its military forces from the Ukrainian border. The Chancellor and I will also have the opportunity to discuss a number of issues on the European Council's agenda, including economic recovery and investment. As we emerge from the pandemic, as we drive forward with green and digital transformation, we need to ensure that we take advantage of these new opportunities to deliver high-quality and high-skilled jobs across the European Union. Our governments share a high level of ambition on climate action, and we both support the European Union's climate goals for 2030 and beyond. I also look forward to discussing the European Union's relations with the United Kingdom, and glad to have the opportunity to thank the Chancellor in person for Germany's support and solidarity throughout the Brexit process. May I in addition also thank you and your government for your support throughout the program in the form of testing and the repatriation of Irish citizens in the early days of the pandemic and other support. On the Brexit question, Ireland wants to see a strong and durable partnership between the European Union and the United Kingdom in the future. For this to happen, existing agreements, including the protocol, need to be implemented in good faith. Vice President Šefčovič and the Commission continue to have my full support in the important work that they are doing towards securing that goal. I hope that the British government will engage constructively with the work so that we can find pragmatic solutions to some of the issues that have arisen within the framework of the protocol. I will also take the opportunity to briefly transfer on the difficult political situation in Northern Ireland and the importance of ensuring a period of time ahead of the Assembly elections in May. And to touch on that again, express my thanks to you in Germany. We are enjoying friendship and we are warm welcome.
Vielen Dank. First question goes to Paul Cunningham.
Good morning, Paul Cunningham from RTE Ireland's national broadcaster. Could I ask you about Ukraine? And the same question to both Chief and the Chancellor. How swiftly do you believe sanctions should apply following on from the Foreign Affairs Council meeting in Brussels later on this afternoon? Do you believe it should be swift and complete? Or do you believe the EU should take a staggered approach and delay sanctions over a period of time? I'm conscious that the President of Ukraine said in his broadcast last night that it was very important to see who their friends were now. So I'm wondering what type of response the EU would have and you would recommend. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that question, and I would like to briefly respond. For us, it is very important that we act together as the European Union and also in close consultation with the United States of America. This is what we have prepared and what we are discussing now. It is about determined action that we will take now vis-à-vis the actions that have happened, that is recognizing both areas as independent republics, which cannot be accepted. And of course, over the long period of time that we have prepared for this situation, there are other sanctions that we can trigger if additional measures are taken. But this is now about taking concrete steps relating to the situation that we have seen now, and also take similar measures that are have been developed together with the EU and the US, and this will happen.
Yes, I think unity is our strength, and there is very clear unity of purpose between all of the EU member states in relation to this issue. From Ireland's perspective, as a small open democracy, we celebrate 100 years of unbroken democracy this year, and the sentiments articulated last evening by President Putin are not acceptable to us, in the sense of small states are entitled to their nationhood, to their freedom and to their independence. And I think the statement creates a chilling effect for many smaller states across the European continent and beyond. So the principles are important, that we stand by those principles of self-determination and sovereignty. And in that perspective, I believe there will be a coordinated response in relation to last evening's announcement, but also then we stand ready for even stronger responses in respect of any further actions, but it will be coordinated among the member states.
Vielen Dank, Herr Bundeskanzler.
Thank you very much, Chancellor. You said that the certification procedure for Nord Stream 2 has been suspended. I would be interested to hear under which conditions could it be relaunched? Which conditions would Russia have to meet for that? And I would also be interested to hear whether this no with regards to arms exports to Ukraine can be called into question vis-à-vis the new situation we're seeing now, or do you stick to this no? And the Minsk agreements are basically annulled with these events that we see today. Does that mean that the Normandy format is dead as well, and the German role as a mediator, or are you also trying to relaunch discussions in that format? Thank you very much for that question. In very concrete terms, the report on the security of supply is an important precondition for the certification procedure, and the Ministry of Economics is charged with writing this report. I I exchanged on that with Minister Habeck for quite some time now, and now we have a situation in which we need to reassess the situation. So the existing report is withdrawn now, and the Ministry of Economics will work on a new report, and all the assessments that we make will feed into this report. So the procedure is being impacted, and there will be a new course for this project. And necessarily this happens because the Ministry of Economics needs to redraw this report, and I think it will take some time. And the second remark would be with regard to the Normandy format. It continues to be an important format. We have this as a platform, and President Macron and I have discussed in much detail that we want to continue to use this platform. We've also discussed this with the Ukrainian president and agreed together on this, and now we're trying to find a way in this difficult situation to build on that format. It exists as a format for talks, but let me be very concrete. The situation is serious and remains serious. The troops are there, and they would be sufficient to launch a military invasion of the whole of Ukraine, and none of us can tell at this point in time how things will evolve. So it is important that we react to what has happened immediately, that this happens quickly, and that the EU and the US and many others as well act together, and we have prepared this. Sorry, no microphone. The situation remains unchanged. What we do is strengthening the resilience of Ukraine, economic resilience as well, by being one of the most important donors, financial donors, and we will remain the most important donor, and we have prepared for this moment, and we are prepared for future developments as well. So Europe and the US will be able to react quickly. It won't take much time. We're not starting now. We have prepared for this over the last few weeks and months, as the federal government has done, as you can see today.
Danke, Derek Scully, Irish Times. Herr Bundeskanzler, egal was Russland in Ukraine
Mr. Chancellor, regardless of what Russia wants to do in Ukraine and regardless of Nord Stream 2, Germany is a big buyer of gas from Russia and will remain so. What are you doing in order to reduce this dependency? How do you want to change this?
An MP from Mr. Scholz's party, Jens Zimmermann, told me that unless Ireland gets more active on data protection and its European data protection responsibilities, it could damage Ireland's reputation in Germany the way Ireland's fiscal policy did. Do you accept that criticism, and will the government move to review the DPA, the Data Protection Authority procedures in Ireland that we've been waiting for since July? Thank you.
Thank you for raising this question. Energy supply in Germany means that about 1/3 of our supply is from gas, and half of that comes from imports from Russia. The other imports come from Norway, the Netherlands mainly, and many other places. We have started a long time ago to reduce our dependency on gas by deciding that within only 25 years we want to have a CO2 neutral economy. Germany will shift its energy supply to an electricity-based supply. We are expanding our offshore wind energy capacities, solar energy capacities in a massive way, 600 terawatt hours now to 800 by the end of this decade, and probably twice as much by 2045, in order to be able to produce chemical substances, cement and steel without the use of fossil fuels. And what we will be using in terms of gas will be different from what we're seeing today. It will be hydrogen that we use, and we will also have to import hydrogen, but we'll be able to produce quite a big share of our need as well. And this is the the big modernization project that we have embarked on. We are always continuously analyzing our situation. We are making sure that the import capacities and possibilities we will have in the future too in order to import gas into Germany will be diversified even more. It is a task for us. It is a task for many others as well. You know that there are countries in Europe that have a much bigger share of gas in their energy mix and a bigger share of gas coming from Russia. So it is a big common European task that we will be able to master together.
I wouldn't accept the criticisms in relation to our Data Protection Commission. I think we've expanded and allocated additional resources year on year. I have confidence in Helen Dixon as the leader of that commission in terms of her competence and capability. Undoubtedly, the area continues to grow and develop and becomes more challenging, but certainly as far as we're concerned, in terms of the EU framework that has been agreed in terms of this area of governance, our Data Protection Commission is well up to the mark.
Herr Bundeskanzler, ich hätte ganz gerne noch mal nachgefragt.
Mr. Chancellor, I would like to ask another question about consultation within the EU. Both of you said that the EU stands in unity. Is this unity really a given? Can you be sure that all EU member states will agree on the sanctions package and will support it, or will the like-minded impose sanctions without others if necessary? And there is criticism about this staged imposition of sanctions, because Putin has now started. He has destabilized Ukraine in the long term by his actions. And why are you not triggering a big sanctions package now? What is the goal? Does Putin have to withdraw the recognition, or what is your goal? What do you want to reach? Thank you very much. We will not accept this recognition. We cannot accept that. And this is why it is important that we react swiftly. And I share the optimism my colleague expressed that we will have an agreement within the EU. We have discussed this in detail over a long period of time. It has been prepared. Of course, discussions will be held in the bodies involved, but what will happen, I am convinced, is a strong package that relates to what we have seen on the ground, and the preparations have been made for also what happens in terms of a worsening of the situation and further escalation. So I won't go on forever. I am quite confident that we will be able to reach a conclusion together here, and I think this is right. Reacting to what we've seen with measures now, a robust reaction, similar with what the US is doing, and measures that we have prepared in case of further escalation. What we of course want to absolutely prevent, because that is the goal of what we're doing, preventing such an escalation.
Мы посмотрели, да, в Центральном федеральном округе только за